Well, good afternoon. Greetings to you. Thanks for coming along for the Friday edition of The Ride Home.
That's my favorite edition.
Beautiful. And it's an even more favorite because we've got a long holiday weekend, do we not?
do. And we have a terrific next 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be thought-provoking. Mm-hmm. It will include this or that.
Yes.
I'm excited about that in about 25 minutes.
And the weekend review as well. Mm-hmm. Much going on there.
I'm telling you, it's exciting.
How you doing today, Kath?
I'm well. Thank you. It's an absolutely spectacularly gorgeous day.
Very nice. I did a little something I have not done for a long time today.
What's that?
I did some Chinese takeout today for lunch. I had lunch today, which I have been eschewing.
Right.
And I did some little Chinese takeout.
Did you go to Yafei?
No, I went to Fong Mei.
Oh, right. How was it?
Excellent.
And let me guess. You had, let me divine this. Chicken with green beans.
I did. Oh, yeah.
I am so good. That was a total guess.
Excellent.
You
Excellent.
guys.
And one other thing.
An egg roll.
Bingo. Hey, you're fabulous.
That's when you know somebody well, man.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, it's been. I didn't have dinner last night. You know, did you ever do that? I didn't eat dinner.
Yeah.
I didn't eat. It was like 10 o'clock, and I'm eating some spinach dip or something, and I'm like, this is disgusting. I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah.
So this morning I woke up at like ferocious.
And you were so hungry.
So hungry. So I thought I need some Chinese takeout. I feel good about it too.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Very nice and duty.
Good for you.
Okay. Anyway, my dietary needs notwithstanding, let's take a look at the news stories of the day. Kath, please give us the top 4 at 4.
Okay. For Friday, September 3rd, 2021. Number 1. Top federal health officials have told the White House to scale back their plan to offer coronavirus booster shots to the general public later this month, saying that regulators need more time to collect and review all the necessary data, and perhaps boosters will only be recommended for recipients of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to start. How about that? Huh? According to today's New York Times, regulators need more time to decide the proper dosage for a possible third Moderna shot, which is what I got.
The third one?
Got to get the third one.
Oh, okay.
The company's application asking the FDA to authorize a booster shot contains insufficient data, and other data expected from J&J not yet been delivered. This is also interesting. The FDA also waiting for data from Israel, which is already giving boosters to everyone 12 years of age and older. Yeah, Israeli officials say their experience shows that the potency of Pfizer's vaccine wanes over time against severe disease and hospitalization, but a third shot bolsters protection significantly.
What about shots 4, 5, and 6?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
We'll wait to
When's that
hear
coming?
what they say about that. Number 2.
All right.
Theodore McCarrick, the former Archbishop of Washington, D.C., pleaded not guilty today to child sex abuse charges. McCarrick was stripped of his rank as a cardinal and removed from the priesthood after the Vatican confirmed other allegations of abuse against him. CBS News reports that McCarrick, now 91, appeared in court for an arraignment outside Boston using a walker. He entered the not guilty plea to charges of sexually assaulting a teenage boy almost 50 years ago in Massachusetts. CBS News correspondent Chris Livesey reported today from Rome. This was an interesting report. He said that McCarrick's court appearance marked a profound day of reckoning for the disgraced former cardinal as well as for the Catholic Church. Victims hope that the criminal trial of a former prelate will send a strong signal that no one, no matter how powerful or how old, is above the law. Number 3. A new study of user behavior on Facebook around the 2020 election says, guess what? The company's algorithms fuel the spread of misinformation.
What?
I'm so shocked by that, you
Bingo.
guys. According to the Washington Post, the forthcoming peer-reviewed study by researchers at NYU and a university in France I can't pronounce has found that news publishers known for putting out misinformation got 6 times the amount of likes, shares, and interactions on the platform, as did trustworthy news sources.
Who's trustworthy?
Ever since fake news on Facebook became a public concern following the last election, publishers who traffic in misinformation have been repeatedly shown to be able to gain major audiences on the platform. But the NYU study is one of the few comprehensive attempts to measure and isolate the misinformation effect across a wide group of publishers on Facebook. And its conclusions support what we've all suspected, that Facebook's platform rewards publishers that put out misleading stuff.
Publishers who traffic in misinformation. Who spends their life doing that?
Get out of here. And number 4, are you having trouble getting your McFlurry? Are you? Well, you're not alone, and maybe the Federal Trade Commission can help.
What's a McFlurry?
What is wrong with you?
What's a McFlurry?
It's the ice cream thing at McDonald's that you add the stuff to. Your M&Ms, your Heath bars, your Oreos.
I've never had a McFlurry. What?
I'm struck dumb.
It's an ice cream bar at McDonald's?
It's not an ice cream bar. It's an ice cream concoction. It gets all mixed together. Where do you live in America?
I have never in my life had a McFlurry.
Listen.
I thought it was Marc Andre Fleury,
Okay, just
moving to Scotland.
Stop talking and pay attention.
Sorry.
The Wall Street Journal reports what many of you, though not Sean, already know, that McDonald's has struggled for years to keep its ice cream machines working. Without them, people cannot get a milkshake, a soft cone, or above all, a McFlurry. I've also had my own issues with mocha frappes. Can I just say that? Anyway, enter the U.S. FTC. The FTC reached out to McDonald's franchises this summer seeking information on what exactly is going on with the broken ice machine problem. For McDonald's devotees, not to mention the company itself, a dysfunctional ice cream dispenser is no small matter. The shiny metal machines crank out concoctions that account for 60% of the chain's dessert sales. Owners of McDonald's outlets have long complained the devices are overly complicated and their breakdowns hard to fix. McDonald's, though, has tried to add levity to the situation. They recently tweeted, "We have a joke about our soft serve machine, but are worried it won't work." That is your top 4 at 4.
I'm just dumbfounded by it. Who goes to McDonald's for dessert? I'm not having ice cream at McDonald's.
I seriously don't even know how to have this conversation with you.
I feel the same way about on my side. You're like invested in the ice cream at McDonald's.
I'm not invested, but how do you not know what a McFlurry is?
I don't know. I go to McDonald's for a quarter pounder with cheese and some fries and a Coke.
And you've never heard the word McFlurry?
No, I have never. Never once. Never. It's just beyond me.
Well, okay, I'll tell you right now that they're delicious. And
it is McDonald's.
That you would be glad to have one, except that you won't be able to, because I'm telling you,
see,
like 90% of the time I go to get a mocha frappe, the machine is broken.
Is it broken?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
But the FTC is on the case, and so perhaps it will end.
I mean, how about us getting all excited? Like, you're guessing what I had for lunch, and we exult and enjoy like we're a cat with a rubber band. Yeah! We can't believe it. You got it right. I mean, how cheeseball is that?
We are simple.
Chicken and green beans.
But you listen.
Oh my goodness! She said chicken and green. She said egg roll.
Listen.
Egg roll.
Listen. I think you live in a cave if you've never heard of a McFlurry, for crying out loud. I went 2 years without eating sugar, and I know what a McFlurry is.
I don't
Coming
know.
up
I'm sorry.
next.
Wait, what time is it?
Oh, it's time for me to tell you.
Tell me what.
Your weekend has begun.
It's 12 minutes past the 4 o'clock hour. Someone's had too much caffeine or too many McFlurries, I might say. 12 minutes past the 4 o'clock hour.
Talking about, I'd like a McFlurry tonight.
Right.
Anyway, coming up next, our good friend Dr. Richard Mao from Fuller Theological Seminary in sunny Pasadena, California. We'll talk about the anniversary of 9/11. It's coming up on Friday, Saturday, but we're going to talk about it on Friday. Anyway, Richard Mao coming up next, Friday edition. Stay with us right now.
it is hard to believe that next Saturday is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, a day that shook not only America but the world. Dr. Richard Mouw is with us to talk about that. He's got a brand new piece that will be premiering later on this week. Dr. Mouw is professor of faith and public life at Fuller Theological Seminary. He has served as president there for 20 years. Also the author of numerous books. His latest is called Restless Faith, Holding Evangelical Beliefs in a World of Contested Labels. Richard, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Hey, good to be with the two of you.
Always good. Very nice.
Hey, I want to let our listening audience know that you can watch the show on YouTube right now. If you open up YouTube and go to the word Pittsburgh, you can watch the show happen in the studio as we talk to Dr. Richard Mouw. Richard, happy to talk to you again. And it's hard to believe. It's shocking, actually. I can't get my head around the fact it's been 20 years since 9/11.
I know. It just seems like yesterday, and yet in another sense, it can seem like ancient history. You know, it's one of those weird feelings. You know?
Yeah.
So where were you on 9/11, Richard?
You know, I was downstairs on my exercise bike, and I had the TV set on, and I was watching news, and the breaking news came in with that first plane going into the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And I thought, what happened? You know, and so the pilot was confused. And it wasn't long because I was exercising for almost an hour in those days, but it wasn't long before I saw it happen again. And then people began saying, you know, it's an act of terrorism. And it was interesting because I got off the bike, I came upstairs, I was going to take a shower, and the phone rang, and I was the president of Fuller at the time, and the director of communications called and said, you want to issue a statement? We should say something, shouldn't we? And I said, you know, I don't know what to say except that I'm just confused and shocked and plead with God for help and for all those people and for those of us who, you know, are so terrorized by all of this. And I just could not think of anything to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. I'm sure you weren't alone, right? How can you make sense of that insanity, that chaos, that we were attacked on our own soil by people we didn't know who hated us?
Yeah.
I remember getting up in church the Sunday after 9/11. I'm a worship leader, Richard, and I couldn't think of anything to say.
Dumbfounded.
Yeah.
I really couldn't, and I'd had days to think about it, and I still couldn't think of anything. But one thing that I remember clearly from that day is being up in front of the church and seeing that our sanctuary was packed out.
Yeah.
There were so many people who I had never seen who wandered into the church, and I'm sure people had that experiences all over the country.
Yeah, and that was a fascinating thing, you know, and as you know, I've been struggling with that because, you know, it didn't last long. I mean, this piece that I've just written, you know, a friend of mine who's not at all religious said to me for the first time in her life, she felt like doing something religious, you know, and 2 weeks later, you know, it was over for her. But, and you can easily get into the cynicism, you know, wow, foxhole religion, you know, people. But the other side of it is, why was that the response? You know, what was it about human beings who had no connection to a church or a synagogue or a mosque?
Right.
Saying, I want to, and then you see this reverence of people who aren't believers, you know, getting down on their knees and putting things in front of a shrine, you know. And there's something powerful about that. I don't want to use it to, you know, make a case for Christianity because it was horrible for so many people.
Yes.
But we do have to say there's something about those moments that reaches deep into the human spirit. And, you know, I this wonderful line about a bumper sticker that I saw, you know, that I usually don't like the theology of bumper stickers, but this one said, "You are a child of God. Please call home." You know?
Yeah.
And people wanted to call home, you know, even though they weren't sure where it was or who was there. You know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like you said, though, it didn't last long, but immediately in our confusion and our, sort of fumbling around to try to make sense of it, I believe that as believers in Jesus Christ, we had comfort right away, because if you call yourself a child of God and a believer in Jesus, we're trying to call home, or we are calling home on a regular basis.
That's right. Yeah. And so I'm more interested in why the surge of religion happened than I am the question, why didn't it last very long?
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, so people showed up, but, clearly in 3 weeks, the sanctuary was pretty much the same number of people on Sunday morning as it was before.
Yeah. And, we need to take hope that some of those people who showed up and then did not come back, that there was something at work in their hearts that we can still connect to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And so I wonder if the same thing, it's not, every situation is different. There are no two circumstances that are exactly the same. But I wonder if people have similar feelings now watching the fall of Kabul, what's happened in Afghanistan, all of the disappointment, fear, angst, everyone, that people all over the world feel.
Yeah, and I certainly feel, and I know. I've got a physical trainer who's not a Christian, but he said to me, "Boy, my heart just goes out for these people. I just feel so." And he's looking at Muslim people, Muslim girls who are in danger, as well as Americans and so it's not just we're relating to people just like us, but we're relating to the humanness in other people, and that's an important little lesson that we need to learn from that.
Right.
That's interesting. So. Break that down a little bit. So we need to take a moment and contemplate how maybe our hearts have been enlarged, or our minds have been enlarged because of this?
Yeah, and I think for many of us that did happen. I certainly have felt it. And, when I wrote about this, I mentioned that a couple hours after that, when I, was thinking about it, and people started talking about, well, this is Muslim terrorists, and I had talked to, some of my Muslim friends, leaders that I'd been in dialogue with, and they were saying we're so vulnerable. And then later on, I met a Muslim scholar, a woman probably in her early 30s, and we had a dialogue at a church event that they'd invited a Muslim and a Christian thinker, and we were in the car going to the airport afterward, and I just asked her about herself, and there was a kind of quietness, and then she said, I have 2 school-age kids, and they get bullied in the playground because they're Muslims. And every day I pray that God will keep them safe during the day. And, my heart went out to her. And I think I was thinking about her this past, 10 days or so, that there are people like that, and that are very vulnerable. And we need to reach out to them as fellow human beings, children of God. We will want to dialogue with them. We'll want to hope for opportunities to witness. But we need to care about little Muslim kids who get beat up on playgrounds at school just because they're Muslims. And I want to say my heart goes out to those teenage girls in Kabul who were working on robotics, and got a prize for what they were doing in a culture that has not always encouraged, in fact, discouraged, banned women from getting educated. And the fears that many of those young women will be living with right now.
Yes.
our heart has to go out to them. And I think it has for a lot of people.
Without a doubt, Richard. Yeah. And I think, what you're raising here, whether it's Americans going to work at the World Trade Center or Muslim kids on a school ground or Hasidic Jews in Manhattan or people at a Bible study and are vulnerable to murder, there's something about all of us, right? That we are a vulnerable people. The little encasement of our thin flesh allows us to be attacked to the slings and arrows of the harshness of this world.
Oh, hey, Kathy, he's preaching, isn't he?
He sure is. Listen, when that happens on a Friday, Richard, you just got to sit back.
Oh, it's going to be a long weekend.
No, that was good. Thank you. Yeah. And I do think, I've said this before, but I keep this line from the Christmas Carol that has really helped me a lot theologically. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in Jesus, And we need to look for the hopes and fears and confess to our own,
Yes.
I believe in Jesus, but some of it has to do with a lot of things that give me fear in my life and that give me anxiety and also nurture hopes in my life. And if we could talk more about that with people with whom we disagree, rather than saying, well, why do you believe that?
Right.
We would be a lot further along, I think, in our witness to who Jesus is.
The nurturing of hope. That's really good.
So some people who listen to you, Richard, I'm sure are thinking, well, now wait a minute. Like, why should we be nice to Muslims?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I think there are a lot of people who think that.
Oh, I think so, because there's a tendency, and it has been encouraged. And this was, I think that it was truer when 9/11 happened than it has this past week. Yeah. And that is, all Muslims are these evil people who are just out to they may seem nice now here as neighbors, but if they had their wish, they would take it over and make us, do their Muslim thing. And if not, they'd kill us, And I think we see now that we can't stereotype everybody in terms of one image of what it means to be a Muslim. And that there are mothers who just pray that their kids will be safe on the playground,
Yeah.
And that's so important to me, to think those thoughts. And those girls in Kabul who got the opportunity to go to school for the first time in their life.
Right.
And their mothers didn't have that opportunity. And now it may be taken away. And I don't know what to do about that in terms of foreign policy or military, strategy. But we can't give up on them. We certainly need to pray for them.
Yeah, for sure.
That. And it does make a difference, Richard, when we look at people groups as opposed to looking someone in the eye and seeing them made in the image of God.
That's right, yes. And to see them as, in many ways, a lot like me, like you,
Yeah.
Same kinds of, they worry about their kids,
Right.
And they have hopes for their future. And
the call to reach out with the good news of Jesus. I mean, that should be a joy for all of us, right? No matter who we're talking to, what their background is, if they've threatened us or not. We're supposed to love our enemies, turn the other cheek, share the good news of Jesus. I mean, this is how we show that we belong to him, right?
That's right.
But it becomes politicized.
Yeah. It really does.
Yep.
Richard, you've given us a lot to ponder here on a Friday afternoon.
Thanks, Richard. Good to talk to you so much.
Yeah, hey, good to talk to you. It's always good to talk to you. Blessings to both of you.
Blessings to you.
Have a good weekend. And but on 9/11, do pray for those people a lot, and I will too.
Indeed. Richard Mile from Fuller Theological Seminary. His latest work is called Restless Faith, Holding Evangelical Beliefs in a World of Contested Labels.
Coming up next, this or that. You know what that music means.
It's time now for This or That. It's our weekly dive into the ridiculousness. I have 10 things or so.
So,
This or that.
if you count.
Kath, 10 or so. It's pretty simple. We say this, you choose one or the other. Kath, would you like to go first this week or myself?
I'm ready.
You are ready.
No, I'm ready to receive.
All right.
All of a sudden, it's a $20,000 pyramid.
Right.
Would you like to give a receipt?
All right.
That was a good show. I like that. Go ahead.
With, is that Dick Clark?
I think it was.
All right.
And then there was a guy with curly black hair.
Well, that guy.
I don't really know who that
Dick
guy
Clark
was.
or that curly black-haired guy with that? Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This or that?
Oh, yeah.
Labor. Leisure.
Do you mean labor like me being in labor?
It's Labor Day.
I'll definitely pick leisure. Thank you.
All right. A tracksuit. A pantsuit.
I'll go pantsuit.
Hey.
I very much love a pantsuit.
You do?
Uh-huh.
I've never seen you wear one.
You've never seen me wear a pantsuit?
No.
I would have a lot of pantsuits. You just haven't been paying attention. Yeah. Okay.
Being in a hurricane. Being in an earthquake.
Oh, that's scary. I'm going earthquake.
Okay.
It's probably dumb, but I don't really know what to choose there.
Just this or that. Dating a guy who mumbles. Dating a guy who's always talking.
I mean, I can't. I'm picking the. I don't want either one of those people.
This or that.
All right, I talked so derisively about mumbling. I guess I need to pick always talking.
All right. ABBA. The Beatles.
Oh, that's unfair.
There we go.
That's unfair.
This or
You
that.
couldn't give me like a Boston in there or Rival Sons or anything. Nothing.
ABBA. The
Oh
Beatles.
my gosh! I can't. I have to pick. I can't. I have to pick the Beatles. Good.
Very good job. Excellent. I knew you'd be pro Beatles. Hot dogs and baked beans.
Delicious.
Tuna noodle casserole.
Oh, hot dogs and baked beans.
All right.
Always.
Dreaming. Waking.
Dreaming.
Chipped ham. Bologna.
Jib Tam always.
Wearing plaid.
Okay.
Wearing polka dots.
Oh, polka dots. Always. Not to insult you for what you're currently wearing.
Playing a harp. Playing a tuba.
I think a tuba is very funny. I like the comical element, and I pick tuba.
All right. Being bitten by mosquitoes. Being bitten by fleas.
Oh, mosquitoes. Fleas make me feel like I've done something horribly wrong with my life.
Browsing the web. Browsing the open stacks.
Oh, the open stacks. Yes.
All right. A sneeze pee. A fart poop.
I have to. I can't believe I'm saying this sentence out loud, but I choose the sneeze pee.
Good job. That's my this or that?
John,
Yes.
college football kicked off last night. Tonight, high school football is back.
Friday Night Lights.
So, in that spirit, I give you the wow, I haven't seen this in a while and I really missed it edition of This or That.
All right. Very nice.
John, zip hoodie or pullover?
Zip hoodie.
Really? The Dick Van Dyke Show or the Andy Griffith Show?
I like them both.
This or that, John?
The Dick Van Dyke Show.
A packed football stadium or a crowded restaurant?
A packed football stadium.
Former President Bill Clinton, John, or former President George W. Bush?
Oh, yeah. GW.
Got it. Continuing on with the wow, I haven't seen this in a while and really missed it edition of This or That, a film in the movie theater or a live concert?
A live concert.
The Godfather or Goodfellas?
I watched a little bit of Goodfellas last night, as a matter of fact.
That's rough,
was
isn't it?
Oh, it's really good up to a point.
Yeah, and then it gets
the wheels
real
fall.
rough.
I'm going The Godfather.
A car with a stick shift
Yeah.
or a bike with coaster brakes?
I like a stick shift. I really wish I could do a stick shift again.
And you haven't seen it in a while, right?
They don't make many of them.
And you really miss it, don't
I
you?
do, yeah. It's because you know why?
Why?
You're really driving.
Yes.
If everybody drove a stick shift, we'd all pay attention.
All of a sudden, you're in the Italian job,
Exact. Boom.
right? Fred Astaire, John,
Yeah.
or Gene Kelly?
Love them both, but you must go for the muscular Pittsburgh dance. Gene Kelly.
John, lemon blend or tang?
Oh, please, no comparison. Lemon blend.
Build Me Up Buttercup by the Foundations.
Why don't you fill me up?
Or I Love You More Today Than Yesterday by Spiral Staircase.
Spiral Staircase.
Really? It wins out over. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A copy of Popular Mechanics in the mail.
Oh, I like it.
Or the Sunday New York Times with all the pages in all the sections delivered to your door and not late, and thereby not requiring you to call the New York Times and complain like a crazy person.
You know me. Give me the Times on time every Sunday. It makes my Sunday complete.
And last but not least, Doan's Pills or Topol.
Who doesn't like the smoker smile? Topol, please. Flavored drink concentrate. Try mixing 1 part blend with 5 parts iced tea. Yeah, what's this here? PenMac.com. A bottle's $23.
What? But that's concentrate. You mix it with water.
Yeah. Mix,
or at least you used to.
1 part blend, 5 parts water.
Knew it would be. I knew it.
Sorry.
Always happy to have our friend Eugene Park back on the show. Eugene is Associate Professor of True North Church in Palo Alto, California. Also the host of a podcast called Off the Pulpit. For those of you watching right now on our YouTube channel, the word Pittsburgh, you're not going to see Eugene like you normally do because he has to be on phone today. But happy to have his voice here. Eugene, welcome back.
Hey. Good to see, or not see you guys, but talk to you guys at least.
It's not the same, Eugene.
Eugene, something has been sweeping across, I would say, various evangelical and beyond circles. The idea of deconstructing. Please tell us what deconstructing is.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenon that we've always seen, but I think just with the advent of social media, it's a little more public these days. But there's a contingent of believers in the Christian faith all across any denomination or tribe or camp that seem to be taking this idea of deconstructing their faith. So trying to understand what is it that they believe in. Often it can lead to deconversion. But in other cases, too, I see people reconstructing from that. So there are positives and negatives, but it is a phenomenon that mainly younger believers just trying to figure out what exactly is it that they believe.
Right. I don't think it's a bad process, of course. I think it's important to know why we believe what we believe. And there are a lot of hard things about life that make us question our faith. I don't think that's bad either. This is just a personal thing, but I'm a little over the social media presentational value of it. You know what I mean? Like, I
present to you.
I would much more appreciate knowing John as a friend and John telling me, you know what, I'm having some doubts. I'm trying to work through things, but then seeing John like go out into a meadow and like write an Instagram post about it.
I wrote a diary underneath the tree.
And started reading about me.
Right.
Always looking at a lake of some sort.
Yeah. What's the deal with the nature thing? So, I mean, do I sound too cynical when I say that?
A little.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think there's an element of, I was just talking with a friend about this, that a lot of these it's becoming its own culture and tribe. And it's something a little paradoxical when you think of it, that they're, at times critiquing the celebrity culture or the industry complex of a megachurch, but it's becoming its own complex with people with book deals, with Instagram posts that look, as you mentioned, eerily similar, with posts of a similar language and Twitter followings of that as well. So I do think there is some right in that it is a movement that is becoming what it's critiquing at times. And I have some problems with that as well.
Yeah. It just seems so private, though, doesn't it, Eugene? Like,
it should be private,
right? It is. And so why are people, sort of airing their, and it's not dirty laundry, but it's their theological laundry in public for everybody to sort of feed on and comment on?
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that I agree with, but I think another part of it is it's a part of our fabric of society now to think privately just no longer exists. And oftentimes the danger may be that you form your identity not in your own private thoughts, but on the collection of what people see of you or presume you to be. But with that being said, there are certain people who have came to me as a pastor that are deconstructing, that even claim, hey, maybe I'm deconverting to their faith. And with select individuals, those that aren't too public but private, there's actually, for me as a pastor, almost a sigh of relief. And the reason I say that is it's the first time they're actually owning up to their faith or trying to. And there's stories out there, even of, public figures, not all of them, that I actually find relief in. I'm not rejoicing in them at all. But it seems like, they're actually trying to own up to their faith on their own, on their own accord for the first time.
Yeah, and if there is a person who is guiding, that process, like you as a pastor guiding that process, I think it can be extraordinarily healthy. Because a lot of us grow up, in fact, all of us in one way, shape, or form, because we're all fallen people from fallen churches and fallen families, we grew up with incorrect ideas about God. And they make all sorts of terrible things happen in our lives because our preconceived ideas about who he is, and then he disappoints us, and then he doesn't act the way he was supposed to, and then people who say they know him don't act like they're supposed. I mean, anyway, it gets ugly and bad, and that needs to be dealt with. I think going through that honest process is really good.
Yeah, I like how you put it, because a lot of these events are often triggered by something larger than life than they expected. It could be a loss, it could be a moment of suffering, just something that's inexplainable. And a good example I had recently is it almost is like a solar eclipse. It's all perspective. There's moments in a solar eclipse when it seems like the moon is literally bigger than the sun. And certain ancient societies thought that it was the beginning of the end of the world with that event. But it's all perspective. There is a moment where the moon just perfectly aligns with the sun, where it blocks out all of the light. But you have to realize that within a couple of seconds, it passes. And what you realize at that moment, what you thought was just this darkness, was just a coincidental moment of perspective that you could not see. So that example helped me a lot, and even trying to help people go through that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that, Eugene, because I do believe, despite the amplification of the social narrative of me, going through this process, I'm using me from that outsider perspective. But if you're serious about your faith, there has to be a time or two or whatever where you dig down deep into it and try to make sense of it, or not. But it just doesn't have to be amplified in public arena.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think one familiar pattern that I've been thinking about, and something that I've been trying to write about soon, is the idea that with the deconversion stories, or those that are deconstructing, that I actually find to be genuine, they've come to realize that for their whole lives, maybe they grew up in the church or somehow was brought into the church, that their faith was a lease. That, if you lease a car, it's nice because it's cheap, it's efficient, and you can probably afford something a little nicer than you could probably afford to own. But what I always try and tell people is a lease will always end however nice it is. And for a lot of people that I've seen that have a genuine deconstruction moment, it's because they realize, I've been leasing my faith not on Christ, but on a person, on a pastor, on an ideology, on a community even. And there's some moment that kind of shakes that up, and they're trying to, the lease is over. What can I do to try and hopefully own up to my faith? So those are the kind of moments where I find helpful. And I wonder if more people actually need to go through this, that maybe there are members in my church or all of our churches that have been leasing their faith just to, Tim Keller's words, or to this book's words, or even to this community that I'm a part of. And I wonder if maybe there should be a little bit more space to give mercy to those who doubt, and allow deconstruction to happen healthfully.
That's good.
That is really good. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that attitude you have about it, because it is easy, like I said at the beginning, to become cynical about it. Eugene Park is with us, Associate Pastor of True North Church, Palo Alto, California. Check out his podcast, Off the Pulpit. Eugene, in the other regard, though, I want to say that I'm sure you have seen this as well. People who are well-known figures in contemporary Christianity who have deconstructed themselves, who are now trying to be like the guru to help other people deconstruct. And to me, like, just looking into that is bad news. I mean, I don't see any health there. To me, it's more like a, hey, did you think about this other thing that could make you feel worse about it?
Wait,
if you haven't thought about this, you could think about this too.
So you're saying people are acting as guides?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that, Eugene?
Yeah, I mean, there's prominent figures that I think if you're within the Christian circles, you know of. And yeah, I do find some issues with that, because I think even with the idea, let's just say, of a physical deconstruction of a house, you don't really need a guide, because in itself, deconstruction is for a purpose. And what I find is that often we want to stay in this deconstruction mode for a long time. And what I tell people is, when you deconstruct a house, it's either you're demolishing it or you're trying to rebuild it, but you're not just constantly deconstructing, because there's nothing left to deconstruct at one point.
Right.
And a friend put it really, really well. He said, deconstruction is relief because faith is actually a struggle. And I find that to be true on a lot of sides of that, it is a moment of relief, and I hope people don't just rest in it, but that they hope they can see that, look, faith in Christ should be hard. And so when you do take a moment to quote-unquote deconstruct, it will be a little bit easier. But I hope that they can see that faith is actually a struggle with the relationship.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's deconstruction is relief because faith is a struggle. That's really a good word.
Yeah. And that's all genuine faith is that.
Yeah.
Hey, Eugene, happy to talk to you. Happy Labor Day weekend. Hope it's a fun extended time for your fam.
No, thanks. It's a little smoky in California.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, of course. I can't believe we didn't ask about that.
How are things?
Yeah. It's a little smoky, nothing too crazy, but it's becoming almost a part of life here in Northern California. But we love YouTube, so my kids will find some fun in Labor Day weekend.
I bet. That does not surprise me. All right, Eugene, take care.
You so
Thanks
much.
for being on the show today.
All right, thanks so much, guys.
Our great pleasure. Eugene Park, Pastor Eugene Park, Associate Pastor of True North Church, Palo Alto, California. Check out the podcast, Off the Pulpit. Always interesting and entertaining as well. Off the Pulpit with Eugene Park.
We just found out from our producer, Christy.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of an error. And so what we were talking about during our last commercial break was broadcast right here on Word FM.
What? The scandal of Lemon Blend is what we were talking about. No, listen. Oh, how did Lemon Blend come up? Oh, you brought it up.
Because the part was this or that.
Yeah, so you can still buy Lemon Blend.
I thought it was Christy, do you know what Lemon Blend is?
I don't.
Okay. I bet I haven't seen it since I was 12.
Really? I mean, I remember the Lemon Blend, sort of, container like at Isley's or something. It would rotate through.
Yeah.
And it was very pretty, right?
Yeah.
It was lemonade-esque.
Right.
And, I mean...
It was, listen, when I was a kid, it was so good. Mm-hmm. It was so good. Anyway, it's available.
It is available. Penn Mac is selling a gallon of it for $23. However, it's a concentrate. So
yeah, it always was a concentrate.
Right. So
it used to come in glass. Remember big glass jugs?
Yeah. Right. It looks like a plastic jug here. 1 part blend, 5 parts water, or 5. Oh, excuse me. Mix 1 part blend with 5 parts water, add ice. 1 gallon makes 6 gallons. Pretty nice.
Listen, I want to get some.
Here's what's in it: high fructose corn syrup, water, sugar, frozen orange.
It's good when you get high fructose corn syrup and sugar.
In case you're missing it.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Frozen orange concentrate, which would you'd imagine have some more sugar in it.
Right.
Citric acid,
that's
glycerine, propylene glycol.
I love that stuff.
Xanthic gum, ascorbic acid, sodium concentrated lemon juice, less than 0.1% of sodium benzenite, and sodium methoxyphosphate, blah, blah, as preservatives.
Okay, so it has preservatives too.
You think? Holy moly. Anyway, it's still delicious.
I'm pretty sure I'm still buying it.
Lemon blend. Now, that's dangerous because what if you make it, drink it, and it disappoints and you get 6 gallons to drink?
No, that's a good point. That is a lot.
That's a lot.
This is going to be a risky purchase.
It's $23. It might be $23 of despair because you go,
Okay,
this
but
is not what I
in my
imagined.
head, it's very delicious.
Well, a lot of things are delicious in our heads, right? Until, you go, oh, geez.
Okay. Turn our stream on. Go on YouTube, The Word Pittsburgh. You can watch the show. I would like to see your comments about lemon blend. Barb has already weighed in and said, by the way, we can hear you talking about lemon blend. That was during the commercial break. But Barb
it
didn't
was
say
like a bonus segment.
But Barb, right, you got it for free.
Yeah. Behind the
Seriously.
scenes at John and Kathy.
Yeah. Boy, that's a thrill, right? To know we're talking about lemon blend.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to know what you guys think about it. Do you think I should buy it tomorrow at the Strip?
I think you should buy it because then you can give me some.
If I don't like it, I'm making you take some.
Fine. I'll be happy to try it.
All right.
Okay. Well, it is a lot of sugar, though. That high fructose corn syrup and sugar.
And juice.
Heck. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for coming along today. The Ride Home Friday edition. Kath, it is 4 minutes past the 5 o'clock hour.
Is that too early for me to tell you?
Never.
No, your weekend, your holiday, Labor Day weekend has begun.
Very nice. Who doesn't like a long 3-day weekend?
I love it.
Only
You know
topped by
why?
a 4-day weekend.
Because it gets you excited in the week you're currently in that you have it coming. And then in the following week, it's short.
Yeah. So it's like a 2-week gift.
I love it.
Okay, I saw this today that the NFL players can wear social justice messages on their hats again this season, on their helmets. And
On their hats. You know, those football hats.
put your hat on, guys. And it takes all of us. It takes all of us, and end racism will be stenciled in the end zones for the second straight year as part of the league's Inspire Change platform.
Okay.
The league will also bring back the Say Their Stories initiative, and for the first time, each team will highlight its social justice work during a regular season home game in weeks 17 and 18. Quote, "We are committed to inspire change and the social justice work that inspires change for the long term," said Anna Isaacson, NFL Senior Vice President of Social Responsibility, told the Associated Press. All right, I don't know. When I watch a football game, I just want to watch a football game. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to be like pooping the whole thing, but I get why they're doing it, but I do get cynical as to why they are doing it.
Sure. I get cynical as to why they're doing it too, but I don't care.
Well,
You know what I mean? I feel like if they want to do it, it's fine. Like
That's their thing. It's
That's
their
their
gig.
thing. Of course, I want. What did they put in the end zone? Racism takes all of us, or something.
And racism, and it takes all of us.
Okay, well, it does.
Of course it does.
So I agree with the sentiment and the fact that they, want to broadcast it. I mean, look, you can get mad about that, but is that like who cares?
I don't know.
I mean, it'd be better than saying like having a bunch of racists on TV, right? So let's just.
What do you mean?
Well,
by that?
I mean, like, be glad that it's at least talking about ending racism, even if you think it's a little preachy and
Over the top.
judgy and whatever it is, and annoyingly political. I get all that, but at least their heart's in the right place. And it's a multi-gajillion dollar organization that's just trying to
can do
make
it.
sure that people don't boycott them.
Right. I don't know. It just feels like a knee-jerk reaction to me. But however,
Well, it is.
I mean,
but whatever.
but so the NFL Senior Vice President of Social Responsibility. So I guess every corporation now has to speak on this, right? It's part of it.
That's the way it's. I mean, that's
It used
what's
to be
happened.
the church.
Yeah, they used to speak on things.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when high-profile things happen, it used to be enough that you would say something. Now, if you don't say something,
Silence
then
equals death.
Silence equals death. Right.
Right.
I mean, it is a merciless culture.
Mm-hmm.
While we're talking about how merciful we all want to be, we're merciless to people that don't go along.
Right.
That's what always
Through my fault,
happens.
through my fault,
That's
through
what
my
always
sweetest fault.
happens when we try to create and enforce morality ourselves.
Yep.
If there's no God in the picture, and this can happen to Christians and non-Christians alike, but if there's no God in the picture, then whatever morality, whatever ethics we try to project or enforce, it gets judgy, it gets nasty. And when there's a transgression, there's no forgiveness, and there's for sure no future.
Right. And it does. You're right. It gets preachy. Right. So, fine, whatever. I don't know. It's just the world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
And
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Will you tune in late so that you don't have to hear or see some display or whatever?
Well, I'm never a big fan of the pregame stuff anyway. Are
Right.
you?
Well, I mean, I'll watch it in the AFC playoffs.
Maybe,
But I'm not going to
maybe.
watch the pregame normally.
I don't know. I mean, so I think I'd rather just watch the game, quite honestly. I don't need to be informed of, the behind the scenes. If I'm interested enough, I'll read about what I want to read about
Sure.
to set the game up in my mind. I don't need, although I do appreciate Coach Cowher and the guys at halftime kind of talking about what we just saw and what to expect in the second half, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting to me.
Okay.
Sort of like post or pre and post analysis.
Right.
So no, it's the
Okay.
idea of it's not going to keep me away and go, oh, how
All right,
am I offended
I'm-
by it? I'm not offended
Yeah.
by it.
Okay.
Is it over the is it preachy over the top?
Yeah.
Yes. Does it have a place in society? Well,
Yeah.
it's their game, so they can do what they choose to
Right.
to do with it.
They
And
own the
so-
playground, so they can decide what
Right.
happens in it.
And so, do I just want to? I personally, and I think probably the majority of people would just go, I just want to watch the game.
Sure, I don't. Right.
I don't need somebody to wag their finger at me. And by
Right.
the messages, does it raise awareness? Yes. Is it a good thing? Probably. Will it especially create change? No.
Yeah, but it'll make the NFL feel better about themselves.
They'll feel virtuous.
Right. Exactly. Which again is the problem when we try to enforce our own morality. All right. Last question before we go to break.
Yeah.
Steelers winning record this year or not? I'm going to ask you what you think the record is going to be at a later time, like before we kick off game one.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm asking you winning record or not winning record?
Undoubtedly, yes.
Winning record.
Yes. Undoubtedly, yes. You're saying no?
I'm saying no.
No.
Christy.
No.
No, Christy's doing her job.
She's
It's
she
very
can't opine.
frustrating. that
What?
She's talking to a guest. Can you
How-
believe that? That's ridiculous.
How can she?
I'm on hold for Marcia.
Oh,
She's on
good.
hold.
Okay.
Oh, you can't hear me? All right.
Okay.
No, we
great.
can hear you now.
All right, we can hear you now. That's
You know
fabulous.
what you're saying? That you're saying a losing record this season.
Yeah.
So you think Ben's going to be a failure?
I don't-
A poor season for Ben.
I don't think it's necessarily going to be a poor season for Ben. I don't
Well, if
think
they have a losing record, I would
but
say it's a poor season.
Well, it's going to. You're right. It would be a poor season for the whole team. I don't think it would necessarily be Ben's fault, but the offensive line is causing me a lot of anxiety. I don't have confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I love you guys. If you're listening to the show, don't think I'm trying to say that I could go out and play your position, okay? But I don't have a lot of confidence.
All right. I'll hold you to that. All right.
Okay.
I'm not, they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but
I'm just asking winning record.
they're going to
500
win. It'll
or
be
not.
a winning record, and I believe that Ben will. My hope is that Ben will go out feeling good about himself.
Well, that's my hope too.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not
That-
I'm not asking what you hope. I'm asking what you think is going to be the thing. Christy, winning record or no?
I think there's going to be a maybe. Just
Oh, that's
kidding.
good.
I was going to say winning record, and then I was going to try and do the math really quick and
Yeah.
say like 8-8, but isn't there?
It's 17 games this year. Yeah.
So
So what do you think? Maybe?
maybe.
That's no good. You got to take a stand.
Yeah, it's either got to be 8 and 9
Yes
or
or
9
no?
and 8.
Let's go winning record.
There you
Okay.
go. Very good. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I
Let's
hope
be
you're
optimistic.
right. I hope
all right?
you're right, you guys.
Okay. Am I hitting that? Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Hit the thing.
All right. Be back in a few minutes. Are we?
But yeah, we're back in a few
All right.
minutes.
Okay, so Labor Day weekend, you get that extra day.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice. The weather looks to be pretty good, I believe. Maybe a little bit of rain, but it'd be nice to take a drive out to the Spring House and have yourself a little chow. Marcia's here from the Spring House. Hey, Marsh, what's going on at the Spring House this weekend?
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hey, we're getting ready for Labor Day, and I can tell people are already celebrating tomorrow because we've been really busy today. People picking up homemade pies and homemade cookies
yeah.
and lots of salads. And I don't know if I told you or not, but we started making flavored milk, and we are doing it's called Morning Milking High Test Coffee Milk, and it's made with nitro brew, and it really has a kick in. So
Okay,
I like
listen.
it so
now,
much.
listen. You brought this up last week, and I have not stopped thinking about it.
I told my wife
Oh
about
my
it.
gosh, Kath. Oh my gosh, Kath, it's so yummy. I think I did tell you last week, and I told you it made my heart beat.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I have to drink it before 2 p.m. or I won't sleep. Like it really does have a kick, but it is so yummy. It's just so good.
Oh my gosh.
And then this week we're doing we're doing a different fun flavor each week. And this week we did orange daydream, like orange creamsicle, but oh my gosh, it's so yummy.
Really?
And yeah. So we're doing something different every week. So it's been very exciting. And then on Monday, so we have a great menu planned all weekend. People can look online for that. And then on Monday, we're having our annual Labor Day chicken barbecue. It'll be the last barbecue chicken of the year. And we're doing, along with it, spice rubbed ribs and barbecued pork sandwiches, hot roast beef and gravy, all kinds of sides. We have a special. It's $19.99. It's a main dish and 3 sides and a salad. And then if you want to get it or whatever. So it's going to be a fun day. We're going to have live music. I think from 12 to 3. We'll be open till 7. So it'll be a fun day to come on out to the farm.
Fabulous.
Wow. I can't. That just sounds like Labor Day made
Yeah.
to order.
And so the nitro milk, is that available all the time, Marsh?
All the time, yes. As long as we don't run out, we're making it. once a week, and we thought we made enough this week, and we'll see.
Wow.
Like, we made a very large amount this week, but it's really going, and people are loving it. Really nice response to it, so
Fabulous.
that's fun.
That's
Excellent.
wonderful.
Hey, Marsh, hope you get a little relaxation as well.
And don't drink any of that coffee milk, right?
Not after 2 o'clock. The Springhouse, Marcia, a nice barbecue chicken down on Labor Day.
Thinking about a Christian education? Word FM can help with our half-price tuition deals. Go to wordfm.com/tuitions to see the list of participating schools and colleges.
Frederica Matthews Green is back with us. Frederica is a regular guest on our show. She is an author of wide-ranging work. We first found Frederica from her excellent book called The Jesus Prayer, the ancient desert prayer that tunes the heart to God. Her latest book is called Welcome to the Orthodox Church, an Introduction to Eastern Christianity. Frederica, welcome back. How are you?
Yeah, hi, John. I'm glad to be back with you again.
Always good to hear from you, Frederica. So I don't know if I'm not sure if before I met you, and it's been, 12 years now that we've known each other, that I even knew who the Desert Fathers were. I don't think I'd ever even heard that term.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of an unfamiliar term, especially to Protestants, but even there are also many Catholics who don't know what it means. And the Desert Fathers and mothers were men and women in the early centuries of the church, like beginning about the year 250, who went out into the desert, initially of Egypt and then a little later of Palestine and Syria. And they were seeking just a really intense connection with God. They wanted to learn how to pray without ceasing and to dedicate their whole mind, their whole heart to following the Lord and staying ever near Him. So that's a challenging thing to want to take upon yourself.
Yes. Oh, so, Frederica, the idea of the Desert Fathers, these were obviously, I mean, and this is not a negative phrase, but they were zealots, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Many, for example, the most famous, of course, St. Anthony, they were motivated by that saying of our Lord when he said to the rich young ruler, "Go sell all you have and give to the poor and follow me." And there's so many stories where a young man or a young woman heard that read aloud in church and went home and did it. You know, they just felt immediately, this is God's call on my life. And there were, after Christianity had been around for 200 or 300 years, there were several people who had taken up that call. And they were beginning to learn how to do it without, and this is literally, without going crazy. Because if you separate yourself from other people and you try to pray all the time, you can have visions of evil demons. You can be attacked by demons. You can just lose your mind. And so they were learning how to do that safely. And typically someone would go out and become an intense man of prayer, and other young men would gather around him wanting to learn how to do it. And then he'd have to move somewhere else in the middle of the night because he still wanted solitude, and still people would gather around him. So in the life of St. Anthony, for example, that happened a couple of times.
Really? So people would spend years, perhaps decades in the desert engaged in this type of life and this type of prayer?
Yes, they did. And they, according to the reports, they found that they could reach, or we could reach, a level of prayer where they felt in touch with everyone in the whole world. It was as if they could see the whole world. They could see every need there was, every person in trouble or fear or pain, and they could pray directly for that person. And many times miracles would result, and the person wouldn't know why there had been a miracle, but it was because of the prayers of these men and these women living these hidden but very intense lives out in the desert somewhere. There is a saying that so many followed St. Anthony and the ones that came after that the desert became a city. So monasteries were popping up everywhere.
That's fascinating.
Wow, it's like we had a nun on who would join us years ago. You remember her, Sister Bernadette?
Oh yeah,
yeah, and she used to talk to us about the different cloistered sisterhoods and how I just had a hard time. I think the average American has a hard time getting their head around what a life like that would look like and why you would pursue it. And I'm sure just asking that question shows, the poverty of my understanding. It's also important to be honest when you have a question, right? And she really helped me at that point to see how what effect, what that type of relationship with God might look like, from the outside, something that I can't imagine.
Yes. And of course, in Western Christianity and in Catholicism, there are cloistered orders, but there are also orders that you can look at and you could say, oh, those nuns are called to teaching, and those monks are called to medicine, and they're working in the world, and you can see the results of the work they're doing. Their monasticism just gives them an extra background of daily prayer and so forth. It's harder for us in the West to understand the point of taking yourself away from all human life and going to live in the desert. And the reason for it is what they report, that they actually do attain to a very intense relationship with God. One of the stories I was just reading from St. Anthony, it said some monks came to him and said, here's this passage in Leviticus, it doesn't make any sense to us. What is this supposed to mean? And St. Anthony just sort of nodded and went off to pray. And later that night, somebody who followed him found him standing alone in the desert and yelling, God, send Moses to me to explain what this means. And then they could hear another voice speaking. So that's the promise, that's the allegation that people who live this kind of intense cloistered life make, if it enables a very close relationship with God and a ability to serve him and to protect and to help people in need all over the world.
Yes, the Desert Father. So, Frederica, do you know, is there anyone like this today? Are there groups of people? I mean, I know people live in monasteries and they're separated from the world, but what about that higher form of holiness? I mean, it's so deeply compelling, I think probably because there are just a tiny, 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 tiny group of people who could do such a thing.
Yes, yeah. And we actually don't know how many, of course, because their lives are hidden from us. We don't really know what the numbers are. There was one of the monks of the 1990s, I think it was, said that God had revealed to him that the whole world continued to exist because of the prayers of three men. Three men who were living these hidden lives.
Really?
So we don't really know what the power of prayer is, and I feel like in our American lives, we like say a prayer, but we don't really expect that much from it.
Yeah.
And and on the other hand, what are we providing to it? How much are we steeping ourselves in prayer? How much time do we spend praying? And, on a daily basis, how many hours are you keeping up with the lives of imaginary people, whether they're superheroes or what?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that time balance with the time you're spending in prayer?
Yes.
Reading
And what do you think it's doing? I think that's another question, right?
Right.
What does it do when people are living that kind of intense prayer?
Right. Well, what's surprising to me about prayer is that it's not taught. That, it's just, if you are a believer, you're supposed to have a prayer life, but I think few people can pray well. And so there's an intentionality about prayer that, unless you've got a great parent or you've got a friend who's a strong prayer, you don't learn the skill, and it is a skill, I believe, and the discipline of prayer. That's something that, has to be dug down deeply into. You would think that there would be courses that are widely available that the church would sponsor and be part of, that people would gather in droves, because the most powerful, tool that we have available to us is largely ignored or just left to your own devices.
That's so true, and that hearing you say that, it like makes me feel so sad, because it's so true. How do people know how to pray if nobody teaches them? And if you're not taught, it looks like it's just boring,
Mm-hmm.
It looks like just this duty that you have to go through to repeat these words every day, but what's the point of it, and is anybody listening? And, it's just sad to think how many people don't have someone to come alongside them and say, do a little of this, a little of that. Again, St. Anthony, he found he was getting so bored, and just the words were just like gravel, and he felt like he wasn't getting anything out of prayer. And an angel came and showed him an example of stand up and pray for a while, and sit down and work at your handicraft and make baskets for a while, and then get up and pray some more, and then sit down and make baskets again. And he learned that you just can't do it continuously. We're human, and we need those breaks. Those are the kinds of things that people have to be taught, because otherwise they wouldn't know.
Yeah. That's Frederica Matthews Green. Frederica's books are The Jesus Prayer, the ancient desert prayer that tunes the heart to God. Also, if you're interested in the Orthodox Church, this is a really excellent primer. Welcome to the Orthodox Church, an introduction to Eastern Christianity. Frederica, I went to a local Orthodox church, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or so ago, and I read your book the night before.
Father Thomas Soroka's church.
Mm-hmm.
The whole book?
Well, listen, I did a skim. I mean, some of it, I already knew because you told me and shared with our listeners on the show over the years. But it was really helpful for me. I just want you to know how much I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's encouraging to hear.
Good. Yeah. Well, Frederica, maybe your next project is a primer on prayer.
That's what I should do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just encourage people, start praying and ask God to lead you. And if you don't know what to pray, just say, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me.
Sinner.
That's basic prayer.
Yes, it is. Amen to that. Frederica, thank you. God bless you.
You too. So long.
Frederica Matthews Green, listen, the Jesus Prayer, the ancient desert prayer that tunes the heart to God. Would we all be prayer warriors? When I was in my late 20s, I found myself selling fine Italian shoes in New York City.
Isn't that just so great?
I mean, the irony of,
And not fine Italian shoes like ones that cost $100.
No. These were, in the 1980s, these were shoes that sold for $1,000 or more.
Yeah.
These were Ferragamo shoes. Now, you think about me, some goofball kid from Swissvale, selling Ferragamo shoes on Fifth Avenue. I mean, there's just something weird about that. However, that opened the door to me to make me think about style, the timelessness of shoes, the craftsmanship of someone hand making a pair of shoes. And so, now I look at people's feet often. I sort of evaluate. You look at the personality of the person in some ways through how they care about their shoes.
Sure.
In the 90s, I came back to the city of Pittsburgh and I worked with a guy. He used to buy plastic shoes from Payless.
Oh.
And I remember one time.
The worst. I did that too, by the way. I'm not
of course.
throwing stones.
And
That's the worst.
I love my buddy. And he was a smoker. One time he threw a cigarette on the ground. The cigarette attached to the plastic shoe, and he walked around with like a burn hole in his gray shoes.
Of course, because they melted.
Well, they did.
Because it was Payless.
So those are like two sides of the coin. And I'm not being a
Yeah.
shoe snob. I'm just saying this is what I observed.
Right.
However, I see a piece today in the Wall Street Journal, and the headline is How Ugly Shoes Won and Why They Keep Getting Uglier. Now, this is interesting. So the contention is in this article is that especially during the pandemic, people who are working at home were so bored out of their mind. And the designers who are now working in isolation went out of their way to create weird, odd shoes, big, crazy shoes.
That just feel good.
Right.
But look terrible.
Like Crocs with
Right.
feathers. That kind of stuff.
I'd like to see a Croc with a feather.
Now, they're also, the Crocs is the low end.
For
the article
sure.
talks out about Bottega Veneta. Now, a lot of these shoes, I don't know the designers.
Well,
name.
if you read the Wall Street Journal, and even if you don't, I can tell you right now that anything that has to do with the Wall Street Journal fashion section or real estate section
high end.
is high end.
So it's just kind of like peering at another world. You kind of go, that's interesting. I had no idea people were involved in something like that. I like it. I'm curious about
Right.
what they're doing.
Right.
Anyway, for $1,200, you can buy a blocky wedge heel with red chicken pox-like specks, or a unisex shoe for $645, leather mule with a Gin Udo Mr. T-esque gold chain across the front.
Okay, forget it.
I remember working in Ferragamo, and they would say,
Okay, let me see that.
yeah, they would say, there are people who like accoutrements on their shoes. They like buckles, or they like chains. That's a very particular style of person.
Or what are the things that you put in Crocs?
What?
Those little things that you...
Like little pins?
Yeah, but they have a name. Gibbets?
Gibbets. What is
I don't
that?
own Crocs.
I think they're
don't
called
know.
gibbets. Yeah. Anyway, you can like put, they're different characters, or
I
they're different
see.
color, they're different things. They're, bananas, or they're
I
cars,
see.
or they're princesses, or
So you're already
they're-
buying a Croc, which is your personal style. Then you're adding
Right.
bling to it.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, adding bling to a Croc is kind of
Well, that's what they talk about.
Aiming
That.
low,
Because
but-
you can buy Crocs in a zesty zebra print,
Okay.
and $120 clementine orange hefty soled Hoka One running shoe. There's a real appetite for color, pattern, and interesting fabrication, says Catherine Newell Hansen, one of the site's style directors.
All right. I love Crocs.
Do you?
They look horrible,
But they're comfortable.
but they're super comfortable. And I was converted to those several years ago. Women's shoes in particular can be super ugly. Like profound, like if you're, especially, it seems like the more expensive they get, the uglier they get. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're going into you used to sell shoes, Christy.
I did, but like athletic shoes.
Okay, so you were like
Okay.
working at Foot Locker or something like that.
Something like that.
Okay.
But on the other side, women's shoes can be works of sculpture.
They can be. They can be.
They can be beautiful.
Yeah, right. But they can also be like profoundly, unbelievably, utilitarianly ugly.
Right. Okay. So I'm showing you this article. Too bad you can't see it. We're radio. Clockwise from left, the Marshmallow Slider, which is $850. The
850?
Yeah. The Keen Unique Trainers, $124. And then there's something called the Flatform Universal Rainbow Pride for $70. Okay.
Okay, every one of those is like unforgivably terribly ugly.
Those look like 90s sandals.
They look a lot like 90s sandals.
Okay, now look
A
at this
lot.
sandal.
And that is not a compliment.
The Martine Rose sandal for $2,650. Look at that thing. I mean,
Is that carpeted?
I'm not sure what that is. They're like these dangles hanging off of it, right?
Yeah.
Now look at this. Look at this sandal. There's suede,
See, now that's nice.
right?
Yeah, they're $745.
What's the most you ever spent on a pair of shoes?
That's a good question. I bought a pair of boots. Seriously, I think I bought a pair of boots for $125.
That's the most you've ever spent?
I think that's the most I've ever spent on shoes.
Really? I'm surprised by that.
Yeah.
Christy, you?
200
There you go.
What'd you buy?
athletic running shoes.
Okay.
Running shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy. I mean, I just think they're beautiful.
Shoes are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Listen, and especially as someone who currently is suffering with plantar fasciitis.
I'm so sorry.
I can tell you that your shoe wear is very important.
It is very important. Yeah.
I'm wearing Birkenstocks right now.
Are you?
Yeah,
I've never owned a
because
pair.
you never had a pair of Birks. Have you had a pair of Birks, Christy? You
No,
never
they're
have?
not. They're not my fave.
Yeah.
Are they open?
Well-
They're open heeled.
Yeah.
Well, I always have orthotics,
Oh, right.
so that prevents me.
Well, the reason I'm wearing them today is because I'm in so much pain that I decided to try something different because what I was trying before wasn't working.
What do you plantar? What?
Fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a political movement.
Yeah, it's not. It's just pain in your heel.
I'm so sorry for
It's
it.
all right. Thank you very much.
Anyway, shoes are cool. They're funky. It'd be interesting to have that whole design on your feet if you were so inclined.
It would be. I'd also like Christy to sell me a pair of shoes, but she'd have to sell them to me on eBay because I buy all my athletic shoes on eBay.
Listen, I'm thinking about going back, getting a second job.
All right.
I'll sell you shoes.
All right. I like it.
Really? A second job.
Well, yeah, you know.
All right. Yeah, sure. Make the bucks, right? I get it. Yeah. Okay, take a break. A break. A break. Coming up, the weekend review. What was everybody talking about? What did we eat? What did we like? What hacked us off? Anything else that you may be engaged in? That's next.
It's been another week. That means it's time for John and Kathy's Week in Review. What was everyone talking about this week?
I'd say they were talking about back to school, masks, and flooding.
Yeah, I would say they were talking about Hurricane Ida and Texas abortion.
Okay, yeah. Next.
What was a conversation that made you think?
I picked 510 on Tuesday, which was checking in with the Kellers.
Me too.
Did you? You picked the same one?
Well, because I love them so much. You know, it's interesting to think about Tim Keller and, read his books. And then it's a whole other thing to hear Kathy and Tim together. And they're just regular people, obviously with big brains. And our connection with Kath is because she's a Pittsburgher. And you see them in their marriage and as grandparents and their kindness and generosity to join us. And, we don't really go super deep. We just kind of visit.
But we specifically don't go super deep.
Yeah.
When we first talked to them about being on the show, the one thing we kind of made clear is, look, we're not looking to get didactic teaching from you, Tim.
We just want to visit.
We just want to visit. We just want to hang out. And he seemed relieved. I don't think he would have said yes if it was going to be more of a didactic thing or an argument thing.
Well, I think he did it to please his wife.
Maybe.
She wanted to do this because Pittsburgh's her hometown.
Right.
So if she wanted to do it, he could spare 15 minutes and be with us. So
Anyway, that was almost a year ago.
Yeah.
We've done it every month since. It's been really, it's been a real privilege and a ton of fun. So that was Tuesday at 5:10. If you didn't hear it, check out our podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
What did you eat?
I haven't done this since before COVID. Ooh. And when I say it out loud, you're going to hoot a little. I went to Vincent's in Green Tree.
Oh, you did? Did you eat outside?
Nope. I got takeout and took it home.
Oh.
I got a white pizza, and I got the Mediterranean salad, and it was outstanding.
Was it?
I mean, now Vincent's is very close to where we work here at 7 Parkway Center, and so we've eaten a ton of meals down there over the years because it's so close, because we have clients here, because we're hanging, whatever it is, especially in the summer when we can be out on the patio.
It's inexpensive and it's fast and it's easy.
Right, and the people who work there are wonderful.
They're great,
so kind. But we haven't been there since before COVID.
Yeah,
and so it was a tour de force.
A white pizza.
I like
really
a white pizza. It was great.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay. I had my wife made lamb curry, which is
pardon me.
And it's so it's so simple.
When someone else does it.
Yeah. I mean, what she does? She roasts vegetables on the grill, cauliflower, peppers, things like that, and then she has this curry or the lamb that's all ground like hamburger.
Oh, okay.
And she has this like a mix, like a bottle of whatever, and it's fabulous. So I've been eating that. I think I ate that 3 times this week because we had so much of it. Our kids are gone, so now it's just the two of us. You want to do? She's like, let's make something fast. Okay, I'll reheat that. Okay, that's good, and that's all you need. And maybe
Lucky
some tomatoes and cucumbers.
Bring it.
Very nice.
What did you watch?
I've talked for years about how much I love Top Gear. I love Jeremy Clarkson and Richard Hammond and James May, and they moved from Top Gear after Jeremy got canned. Actually, he resigned, but whatever. They moved to Amazon for the Grand Tour. I've loved it. Anyway, the latest special they did is Lockdown, which is their trip through Scotland, and I watched it last night. And I loved it. And I know you didn't like it, and I can't figure out what you were watching.
Really?
I thought it was so terrific and beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous. So beautiful.
I was meh about it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay, I've been on this sort of like a music documentary jag.
Oh.
And this week I watched, I think it's on Netflix. You know who Clive Davis is?
Yeah, sure.
So it's longer. It's like 2 hours plus, I believe. So it's a documentary about the life of Clive Davis. Yeah. And, of course, he's been active with artists.
Forever.
He signed Janis Joplin.
Oh, my gosh.
And,
he's the one who's producing the
New York City
thing, the Central Park concert.
Right, yeah.
And I think he's 86 or something?
Yeah, I think he's 90 almost.
Oh,
maybe 89.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm
Clive
not going to
Davis,
challenge you when it comes to celebrity age, okay?
So it's Clive Davis, head of Arista Records, and his life and times. And it's just him.
I bet that's really good.
It's really interesting stuff, yeah.
What's that on?
I think it's Netflix.
Okay.
What hacked you off?
Listen, John had an accident this week in the Squirrel Hill tunnels. And just so hacked off at how the guy hit you and what happened since. I'm offended on your behalf.
Thank you. That was my hack off too. I'm offended. I'm hacked off. Not offended. I'm just hacked off. I mean, every month you pay your insurance premiums, right? I mean, everybody, you've got insurance, car insurance, health insurance, medical. When you need it, hello.
He can't get one person to call him back from the insurance company.
I mean, I
That's
almost got
ridiculous.
killed in the Squirrel Hill tunnels.
Yep.
You know, I'm not asking, but geez, Louise, you
Not
pay
to
that
mention,
cash.
not to mention the lousy driver who ran into you, who wasn't paying attention.
Anyway,
Who might-
I'm glad to be alive, but man, things are scary
I'm
out
hacked
there.
off.
Yeah, thank you.
What was the best news you heard this week?
All right. I was thinking about this over the last couple days that, sometimes obviously we can, as individuals, learn lessons. But sometimes I think cultures can learn a lesson. Like, for example, after Vietnam, when the Vietnam War was ending, the United States treated their servicemen and women terribly. It was a national disgrace. But that wouldn't happen today. I think overall we've learned and we're better. And so when I think back on the anniversary of 9/11, which is happening this Friday, it's this Saturday actually, but we're going to talk about it on Friday. I think about how instantly so many of us were moved with hatred for every single Muslim in the world. But then I look at what's happened in Afghanistan over the last couple weeks and how many of us have had our hearts moved with compassion for the people of Afghanistan, especially those refugees, especially those who helped us, who are Muslims. And I think maybe we've learned a lesson.
That's good. That's really good. Okay, so good. So I'll take that. So you mentioned, I've had a really, I've had a hard week. I totaled my car, and I'm about to put down my poor dog, who's 15, and he's blind and deaf and has dementia, and now he can't walk. So I've been delaying this, and this happened this past week where he just can't walk anymore. And I've been, okay, this is really, it's like you're carrying heartache like a coat, like it's deep inside the valves of your heart. Mm-hmm. You ever go through those periods? And then this is like a shock to me in a way, even though I know it's coming. But the love and compassion on a small scale, the intimacy of family and friends who step forward and say, hey, thinking about you, love you, are you okay? Just checking in, that means everything. It really does. So people are good. Whether it's that grand international arc or just the people that you know and love who are looking out for you. Mm-hmm. That's a really good thing.
And in closing, you two have anything meaningful for us?
This scripture came up when we were on the air. Was it yesterday or the day before? I don't remember.
It was yesterday.
Yeah. We were just talking about how the things we give to God and the things God gives to us.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, this passage just popped out of me because I've read it and loved it for so long. Interestingly enough, though, as I was saying it, I was thinking it was a psalm. Actually, it's Isaiah 61, but I'll read a portion of it.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful passage, the whole thing, so I don't have time to read the whole thing, but starting at 1, it says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, and to provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord, for the display of his splendor."
Amen to that. I have nothing to add. That's perfect and beautiful.
And that's John and Kathy's Week in Review.
Weekend plans, always nice to have something to do towards the end of summer, isn't it?
Yeah, tell me, because I do have some free time.
Okay, good.
So anything doesn't include walking.
All right.
Since
Yeah, you can
I
sit.
seem to have trouble with my heel.
Or dancing.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be dancing.
All right, Saturday and Sunday, Pittsburgh Shakespeare in the Park presents Hamlet.
Oh, really?
Which is interesting about this is it's an all-female Hamlet. Admission is free. It's Saturday, Sunday, 2 o'clock, Frick Park, Squirrel Hill.
Okay.
You go to pittsburghshakespeare.com.
Okay.
All right. That's one of the things about Shakespeare. I mean, it can carry just about any twist or turn you put onto it. There's something called Music Without Boundaries. Pitt Onakatok. Music Without Boundaries is the MO of Pitt Onakatok, the big brassy festival that happens every May in the Vietnam Veterans Pavilion in Shenley Park. 17 months it's been quiet. They are returning this weekend, and it looks to be like funk and brass and fun.
That sounds good.
It's free.
Okay.
Heinz Field Kickoff and Rib Festival.
Oh, that's
Thursday
always
through Monday.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never gone to that.
I have one time.
Yeah. Okay. I bet it was delicious.
It's very delicious.
I don't think there's
but
any
bring your
chance.
cash.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because every place, it's you pay to get in, then you pay per rib.
Got it.
The Allegheny County Music Festival is Sunday. The Common Heart, Pittsburgh's stellar soul rock band, takes over this annual Heartwood Acres Festival.
Love the Common Heart.
Long headlined by Rusted Root and Uprooted.
There's a lot of
roots there.
roots happening. Okay.
Yeah, that's free. Monroeville Jazz Festival is Saturday, the 18th annual Monroeville Jazz Festival, also free.
Okay.
Memento Con, which is the Super Bowl for fans of Supernatural, the dark fantasy drama.
Listen.
I don't know this.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like the McFlurry.
It's the worst. Christy, did you watch Supernatural?
I did.
Of course you did.
Okay, so this is it.
Is it? I mean, agree with me. It is the worst.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why is it the worst?
It's like a soap opera with angels and demons.
Oh, okay.
And when people die, and it doesn't matter because they live again.
And for those
and not in a good way.
Who like heavy metal, Korn is in town.
Oh, wait.
This evening.
Listen, we've had two of their members on the show.
Yeah, who became believers.
Fieldy, and then I forget who else we had on.
Was it Fieldy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's still with the band. Right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they're at Star Lake tonight.
It was a good interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would you see Korn?
No, that's a little
metal?
much for me. No, I mean Metallica.
Yeah.
Chrissy likes metal.
I like Metallica.
I like metal.
I know some people just love metal. I just can't connect to it.
I can take it in little small. Would you go to a concert?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That
Why?
would be a lot.
I would probably die.
Yeah, it is dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of energy there.
Lots of energy.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way to say it. There's a lot of energy.
That's
there.
what there is, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Friday through Monday, the Pennsylvania Arts and Craft Labor Day Festival, Westmoreland Fairgrounds in Greensburg.
Well, that's really different than a metal concert.
It is, yeah. And Lady A, the Nashville trio of Dave Haywood, Charles Kelly, Hillary
Used
Scott.
to be Lady Antebellum.
Plays a more intimate show than the usual at Stage AE.
Really? When's that?
Harmony Sunday. Harmony
Wow.
Heavy Grammy winners.
They are fabulous.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot going on. So enjoy your Labor Day. Yeah, the fruits of your labor. Hope that you're able to rest and relax for a little bit.
The party we were going to together, I think, got canceled.
It never really. Well, I think you waited too long to respond.
What? It's not my fault. Why is it my fault?
Because I immediately I was like, "We're in," and then
I had stuff I was managing.
Now it's gone. Everyone, like people have dissipated. So
great. The party dissipated.
we're just going to stay home.
Still not my fault.
It feels good though.